Well, from the news, we bring you more news, this time with the newspapers. And this morning, I have the Daily Graphic, among other newspapers. In fact, quite a stack. Let me just let you know. The Daily Graphic, the Ghanaian Times, the Daily Guide, the Finder, the Daily Dispatch, the Daily Searchlights, Daily Statesman, Economy Times, the Ghanaian Observer, and the New Publisher. All of these papers that we're going to be delving into this morning on the show. I'm a one-man wrecking ball, a lone ranger this morning. So let's enjoy each other's company. So we start with the Daily Graphic this morning. And as you can see in your short, COVID-19 vaccine in the offing. Safety, efficacy, key concern. And that's the president assuring the nation there. If you missed out yesterday, the 20th day of this month in the year 2020. At 20 hours, interestingly, His Excellency the President delivered the 20th address, COVID-19 address, and some very interesting matters that came up. Let's just take a look at some of those pertinent bits. The president said the recent approval given by the Food and Drugs Administration of the United States of America and the Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency of the United Kingdom had brought considerable optimism and hope to the world in the battle to deal with the pandemic. It has to do with the vaccines that have been rolled out in both the US and the UK. He also spoke about the total number of active cases increasing marginally from 1,139 as of Friday the 6th, that is right before Election Day, to 946 as of last Friday, the 18th of December. If you take a look at further figures, so far, health workers have seen to some 52,675 recoveries, for which, he was saying that the country is extremely grateful. Unfortunately, though, 333 out of that number have lost their lives. Now, with Christmas around the corner, President Akufo-Addo called for caution among the people in all their activities to avoid the virus. He was intimating that, especially if you are going to party, and some people, of course, are going to be throwing parties and enjoying this time of the year, just do so with caution and don't forget to observe the safety protocols, COVID-19 protocols. When you turn to page 5 of the Daily Graphic this morning, some international stories there, and this might interest you because that second group of Nigerian children kidnapped have been rescued, and police in Nigeria say they have rescued at least 84 school children who were abducted in Mahuta village in Katsina State last Saturday. This is the second mass kidnapping in Nigeria's Katsina State in 8 days. The story goes on to indicate that police say the children were seized by gunmen as they returned home to Mahuta village after taking part in a religious ceremony. The children were released following a gun battle between the abductors, security forces, and local vigilantes. So a bit of an update there with regard to some of those situations. There's an interesting editorial piece on page 7, Election 2020 grammatical slip-ups that you could actually check out. But let's move to page, should we do pages 16 and 17? Let's do page 16. Now, rejected ballots balloon, and of course all of us would be concerned about that. So let's dig into the story. Almost double 2016 figure. In spite of the widespread public education on how to cast ballots, rejected ballots almost doubled from 167,349 in the general election of 2016 to 313,397 in the 2020 elections. Now, the Electoral Commission defines rejected ballot as, note, a ballot paper which is handled by the voter in such a way that the choice of candidate or the voter's intention cannot be ascertained as such. So that is the definition there. Now, as sort of measures to, mitigate the situation, what we did in 2020 was that the spaces were larger and the black lines between candidates' pictures, symbols, and the thumbprints were thicker to help minimize the incidence of, rejected ballots. But it appears it may not have had the sort of impact that was hoped. So, according to the statistics, this accounts for 2.33% of verified voters. That was more than the total 1% votes obtained by 9 presidential candidates other than President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, Mr. John Dramani Mahama, and Reverend Christian Andrews. So maybe the question to be asking ourselves as a country is, moving forward, what more ought we to do? Is it more education? And maybe we'd be reaching out to the NCC on this one. I mean, entities like us, the media, among others, to sensitize people, not just in electoral years. I feel, yes, when it's close to an election year, we can do that. But it must start early, and there must be other mechanisms. I really don't know what else the Electoral Commission is going to do, especially as this time around, we put those, fine lines thicker in between. But let's see what maybe technology could bring about. Now, speaking of bills, we intimated that we're going to be talking to Joseph Opoku-Gakpo, our parliamentary correspondent, on some of those bills that have recently been passed. Well, the Road Traffic Amendment Bill has been passed as well, and it protects unborn children. Now, that story is also on page 16 of the Daily Graphic, and I read, Parliament has passed the Road Traffic Amendment Bill 2020, which is targeted at protecting the unborn child on the roads. The bill seeks to amend the Road Traffic Act 2004, that is Act 683, to proscribe acts that constitute dangerous driving and cycling that result in injury and or death of unborn children and related matters. Now, if assented to, the bill will ensure that the law recognizes the loss of an unborn child as a separate and distinct loss and not only an injury suffered by a pregnant woman. So a pregnant woman suffers, some sort of injury, but that of the child is going to be separate, and that would also mean separate consequences for such actions. Now, quickly on the legal remedies, unlike Act 683, the new law will lead drivers and riders whose recklessness results in the injury or death of an unborn child to receive a minimum jail term of 3 years and a maximum of 7 years imprisonment when found guilty. So some salient points from there. If you are a reckless driver, you might want to recalculate and reanalyze what you do on the streets. On page 19, seek redress peacefully, 2 pastors urge political parties. Let's go to the middle spread of the Daily Graphic newspaper, and quite a bit of an interesting article there. It's a news feature on pages 48 and 49, and it talks about exposed wires turning pedestrian walkways into death traps. Now, 10 months after schools were shut down in March 2020 to curb the spread of COVID-19, 2 sisters, Benita and Benedicta, have missed school, but they are at home and do not have to face the daily risks in the streets. It goes on to talk about the 2 of them, but the risks involved. Like Benita and Benedicta, hundreds of other school children from the Adabarka clusters of schools also have to maneuver their way past streetlights that have exposed wires hanging out of concrete poles. The schools include Liberty Avenue 2, JHS Liberty 1 and 4 Primary School, Manchetaki, the first primary Manchetaki, the third primary school, Liberty Avenue 3 Primary School, and St. Joseph RC School, Presbyterian Basic School, among others. The concern here, many of these vulnerable children from these schools are often unaware of the risk of receiving electric shock if any part of their body touches the naked cables. And this is not electric shock a la CPP. This is real electric shock. So, more we can do from one bill, to more concerns about children. How are we protecting our children? We are doing more to protect them on the roads, but how are we protecting them in terms of some of these, happenings? Let's wrap up with the Daily Graphic. Let's do So satellites win Wafu tourney. I'm sure when it comes to sports after this, there'll be a lot of talk about that. But let's do some more sports on the back page of the Daily Graphic. Olympics pip Wafa. And this is the... People are asking, what is it with Olympics now? What exactly has happened with Accra Great Olympics? What has given them that pep? Because it appears now they are downing every team they come across. Now, Accra Great Olympics continued their winning streak with a hard-fought 1-0 win against visiting West Africa Football Academy, WAFA, at the Accra Sports Stadium yesterday. Now, skipper Glasson Awako's 25th minute beautiful goal made the difference on the day. The Homesteads had to play almost the entire half with 10 men. So one man down, yet they were able to come through with a result. If you take a quick look at the Ghana Premier League table currently, perched at the very top, the apex, Bichim United. Karela, another team that has made a very good showing in the league, is in second place. And guess what? Oli Date, Oli Nkonsong, Oli Rosalinda. I can't mention the others. They are in third spot. There's also my own Asante Kotoko in 7th and Hearts of Oak in 8th. Legon Cities, Asamoah, they are actually bottom of the league table. But let's move on now to the Ghanaian Times newspaper, find out what it has for us this morning. Of course, there'll be talk about the president's 20th COVID-19 address, and that's the banner headline. Government will procure vaccine for all. That's according to the president. But where for all means all, like all? Because look, even in developed, more advanced communities, it's not practically everybody, even now, who is getting it. So what does all mean? Maybe we could, in the coming days, weeks, months, we'll find out. Fire ravages Kaneshi Market, 9 shops burnt. And I don't know what exactly is going on, but this must stop. Some have suggested that it is owing to our own recklessness. Some have suggested it could be arson. I mean, there are so many theories that have been put out there, but whatever it is, these things must stop. I mean, I was in Odona, reporting from there. I was in Kantamantu recently. Next thing you know, about 2 days later, Kaneshi Market is also on fire. I mean, what is going on? What is going on? 2020 election data is safe, EC assures the public. There have been some concerns about that from the NDC's end, asking that all the data should be protected, secured. Well, the EC is responding that it is and it will be protected. Market fires, police nab suspected arsonist. Those are the headlines. How about we dig into them? And since we've already delved into the president's address, let's look at page 3 and find out about that new case of a market going up in flames. Now, fire razed parts of the Kaneshi Market in Accra on Saturday, destroying items running into thousands of Ghana cedis. The ravaging fire destroyed 9 shops used as fabric, tailoring, and a warehouse. The fire followed similar recent incidents at the Asankragwa main market in the Western region, the Koforidua Central Business District in the Eastern region, and the Kantamanto Market, Odona, Pedestrian Mall, and Liberty House, GCB, all in Accra, destroying wares running into millions of Ghana cedis. Now, no casualty was recorded during the Kaneshi Market fire, which started at 11 p.m., and personnel from the Ghana National Fire Service quenched the fire at 1 a.m., which would mean they had some 2 hours that they were working to actually tame the flames. And the police were also on the scene to cordon off the area and ensure law and order. But some of those who were affected by the fire spoke to the Ghanaian Times, and they appealed to government to come to their aid to ensure they bounce back into business. That's another concern for me, because whenever these fires occur, Odona, it happened, we saw the Greater Accra, Deputy Greater Accra Regional Minister, Madam Elizabeth, showing up. We saw then the running mate for the NDC showing up, among others, in Kantamanto when it happened recently. The Greater Accra Regional Minister, Ishmael Ashite, was there. His deputy was there. The Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, showed up. And one thread that seems to run across is, help us. when these markets go up in flames. But for how long are we going to persist with this cycle of markets burning, property being lost, lives being, left in limbo, and government having to intervene? Taxpayers' money. I'm not being insensitive. I'm merely saying that prevention, like we say, is much better than cure. But on the security front, 4 people have been arrested for attempting to sell firearms and ammunition. Let's dig into that story. Now, 2 policemen and 2 civilians who allegedly attempted to sell a quantity of firearms and ammunition at Alajo in Accra have been arrested by the police. They were caught with 1 unregistered pistol, 20 rounds of ammunition, of 9mm ammunition, 59 rounds of M16 ammunition, 38 rounds of AK assault rifle ammunition, and 58 rounds of G3 ammunition. Sophisticated arms. We're talking about G3s and the rest. Now, the security personnel are Lance Corporal Emmanuel Abusa Yao and Lance Corporal Suleiman, all of the visibility unit of the police at the headquarters in Accra, and civilian accomplices only identified as Dokpo 31, driver, and Abdul Samed Yusuf 40, also known as Matata, a trader. So at least some firearms that ought not to be out there causing mayhem are taken out of the public space, and that is a step in the right direction. But speaking of which, on that story with regard to the fire ravaging the Kaneshi market and other markets, market fires, police nab suspected arsonist and launch manhunt for others. That's also on page 3. The story says the police and intelligence agencies are reported to have arrested, a suspect in connection with recent arsons in some markets across the country. Portions of some major markets, like we know, have gone up in flames. Now, police sources say investigations have identified one Daniel Da Komla, 41, as a suspect involved in the Kantamanto fire incident last week. A joint team of police and intelligence operatives left Accra last week, Thursday, in pursuit of the suspect and arrested him in a hideout in Ho, in the Volta region, the following day at about 10 p.m. According to the police, initial investigations revealed that the suspect was an active member on various political platforms, inciting members to riot. Not good. Now, phone records show several conversations with other persons aimed at incitement to riot and possible conspiracy to attack state institutions. The suspect, according to the police, had admitted to the said conversations to engage with like-minded persons to execute some acts with the potential to breach the peace of the nation. So the point here being that maybe currently it cannot be established, confirmed, because mind you, such crimes, crime in our jurisdiction, you can't just allege, you must prove, and you must prove with very strong evidence, because the consequences of such actions are damning. But whether or not he did it, I don't know. But what I'll say is this: be careful what you say, because it could be that he did it, it could be that he didn't do it, but owing to what he's been saying, you see, now the long arms of the law are catching up with him. Let's do some other stories. And so 2020 election data is safe, at least that summarizes what exactly the EC chair has been saying. But Reverend Dr. Ernest Edujemfi, who will be joining us today, of the National Peace Council, condemns violent protests. And the National Peace Council has condemned pockets of violent incidents, including protests which have occurred after the December 7 general elections across the country. In a statement issued in Accra yesterday by its chairman, Reverend Dr. Ernest Edujemfi, it urged the security agencies to investigate all the incidents without fear or favor and prosecute all offenders to ensure justice. Right. So let's, the back page also covers the sporting bits, some of which we've already mentioned to you. Now, I'm actually not going to delve into all of the papers this morning. Some of them, because of the repeated stories, we shall not dig into them. But let's do the Daily Guide. It says, NDC supporters fired weapons in Odorodiodo, Techiman, and Save Lugu. And Mahama bodyguard, 2 cops caught with arms. He lost, accept results, and concede. That's according to Kweku Bako, asking for the former president to concede. Then one arrested over market fires, Kaneshi gutted. So let's take a look at this one on page 3 of the Daily Guide newspaper. NDC supporters fired weapons in Ododo, Diodo, Techiman, and Savelugu. It has emerged that the shooting incidents that led to the deaths of 5 persons and injuries to several others during the December 7, 2020 general election were largely provoked by supporters of the opposition NDC, eliciting a response from the security agencies. Now, there were shooting incidents during the counting of ballots in the Ododo Diodo constituency in the Greater Accra region, Techiman South in the Bono East region, and Savelugu in the Northern region. Police official investigations have shown that the NDC supporters fired the first shots in each of the incidents before the police military reacted to restore law and order. But my own concern would be the measure of force used, even in that instance, in countering that bit. Well, let's look at the back page. So Fulham manager Scott Parker has been saying that VAR is criminal, and you can get more in that paper, the Daily Guide. The final this morning says, increased funds allocated to MPs for development. That's according to John Kuma. Public institutions not using gift miss fully cautioned. Suspected arsonist arrested. Government to deploy safe, effective COVID-19 vaccines. That's according to Nanado. And then ECG must crack down on illegal connections at marketplaces. That's according to the fire service. Let's take a quick swipe at that one on page 13. And it says, the Ghana National Fire Service has called on the Electricity Company of Ghana to undo illegal connections at marketplaces to avert the increasing incidence of fire outbreaks at such places. Of course, the PRO, Mr. Ellis Robertson Oko, told the Ghana News Agency that such checks were important because investigations into the fire incidents showed that most fires were caused by electrical faults. A whole lot to talk about. The Daily Dispatch this morning says, the only fire tender in Koforidua broken down for 2 years. The only fire tender in Koforidua broken down for 2 years. And that's something I want to take a quick look at. Freddie Blay has what it takes to be next Speaker of Parliament. That's according to Professor Jampo. U.S. Ambassador to Ghana urges Mahama to go to court. That's Ambassador Sullivan and Obeda Samoa on the formation of the NDC. You can check out that story. But a quick look at page 11, where there is that story. Residents in and around the eastern regional capital, Koforidua, may have to endure late responses from the fire service during distress moments. And that is on the back of the fact that the only fire tender vehicle serving the capital and its environs has broken down for the past 2 years. Management said all efforts to secure 20,000 Ghana cedis to repair the vehicle have been unsuccessful. Woeful in Ghana. So any fire that emerges in that area, what happens to ordinary Ghanaians, taxpayers? What happens? Right, so finally, I'll just wrap up with headlines from the new publisher. The case for Efutu MP Alexander Afenyo Markin. Hot race for Speaker. Pictures there of Freddie Blay, Papa Usu Ankoma, Justice Jones Doche. And why Oseche Mensah-Bonsu is a wrong choice for majority leader. So that's those are some of the stories there. But let's do Twitter trends very briefly, and then we shall move on to sports with Gary Al Smith this morning. So very briefly, trending at number 10, Sadio Mane is trending at number 10. There is Zaha, Crystal Palace, at number 8. Lionel Messi is at number 7, and Mo Salah is at number 5. Some concerns about him recently when he spoke about his not wearing the captain's armband and his reaction. Firmino, the Brazilian, is at number 4. Crystal Palace, Liverpool is at number 3, and Crystal Palace itself is at number 2. At number 1 is Liverpool, and I'll tell you why. Now, so a post by Liverpool FC says, clear some more space in that cabinet, boss. Jurgen Klopp has been named BBC Sports Personality Coach of the Year 2020. Liverpool FC also tweeting an unbelievable achievement to be recognized in this year's Sporty. We're proud of you at J. Henderson, our captain, who, also is awarded there. So a lot more to talk about when it comes to Liverpool FC. Now, let's quickly do this. And, the show is brought to you by Elegant Homes and General Construction Limited, a wholly owned Ghanaian company with over 15 years experience. Our affiliate company, Elegant Homes Products Limited, fabricates and sells high-quality UPVC windows and door profiles from Turkey, plasterboards, cornices, gypsum adhesives, and accessories. Now, that's not all. We have luxury residential properties in prime areas, for example, in East Legon, and we also construct property in other parts of Ghana. Elegant Homes is now selling 3, 4, 5-bedroom executive detached houses at its gated community, Elegant Courts, at Katamanso, off the Adenta Dodowa Road in Accra. Now, the project has solar street lights, underground sewer systems, 24/7 security, tarred roads, constant flow of water, estate management services, and a recreational area with a tennis court, playground, swimming pool, and many shops. Clients have the option to choose from a wide range of architectural designs and have it modified to suit their taste. You can also request tailor-made services where we build to suit your taste. Our houses are built to the highest standards, and we ensure that the finest of materials are used to give you excellence, luxury, beauty, and value for your money. Our properties can be located in East Legon and beyond. So the call numbers 0244 699053, 0244 699053, alternatively 0576 597 419. Their website or email eleganthomesgh.com or sales@eleganthomesgh.com. Elegant Homes, you should get in touch with them. Well, it's 7 on the dot, and it's time now for us to usher in the sports crew. Gary L. Smith comes your way next. Stay with us.